Hello, everybody. Welcome to Computer Applications 1123 here at Northwest. My name is Scott Mounger, and I'm going to be teaching this course, and I'm just going to go over the basic syllabus, basic information for those who need to know it. Now, on Canvas, and you'll see all my stuff is listed here. If you go to Syllabus, you'll get kind of a rough outline of the syllabus. That's kind of what you see right here. The actual syllabus itself is right here under this little text document here, as is the rough outline of the course. Now I'm going to go ahead and open this. Boop. Trying to make sure it's all on the screen like it should be. Okay, here we go. Now, first and foremost, this is computer applications. As of making this video here, things have changed a little bit from previous semesters. In the future, it'll be like previous semesters, but we've taught the course a certain way for years, essentially. This semester, which is fall of 2024 when I'm making this video, and this will continue going forward, we've made quite a lot of changes that we're going to talk about here as we go down the syllabus list here. All right, so first and foremost, this is computer applications. Basically, we're going to be going over Microsoft applications. You've got Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, all the whole suite, essentially. We're going to lightly cover pretty much most of those applications here. You'll see there's a little bit of information about them here. Let me make that a little better. There we go. Now, in this course, as of right now, we will cover, I believe it's PowerPoint, Access, Excel, a little bit of Outlook and some other things. And then that'll be for the first half of the course. For the next half of the course, we're actually going to cover Word fairly extensively. And the reason we're going to do that is because at the end of this course, you'll take a final exam, and that's going to be over Word. And that will actually be an official certification test. When you finish this course, you will actually get an official certification that you can put on your resume, stuff like that. If you take applications 2, which is after this, you don't necessarily have to, but it does count as an extra class for most majors, an elective. They will cover Excel fairly extensively and actually have an Excel certification for those. So just doing the course and finishing it gets you something to put on your resume, which is always useful for someone coming out of college. May not necessarily get you a job, but if somebody has the same resume as you, having extra things always kind of puts you up ahead. So we're going to be covering those things pretty much in that order. Now this is going to involve, there'll usually be a little lecture at the start of the course. We'll discuss how some things work, how the actual applications and everything work. And all Microsoft applications, by the way, are free. I have another video posted on Canvas. You can check that out on how to download and install them. Essentially, you just go to your Northwest email, and there's a little dot in the upper left corner. And then you can just install from there on your computer, as long as you have a Windows or a Mac version. Windows is generally the easiest because that's kind of what the books and everything follow. So once we get through our initial lecture, we will have assignments, and those will come from, we have this kind of companion course software that's built into it called SimNet, and some of it will be through them. Some you'll have to just do the assignments inside the application, like right in here, and you'll submit it. And there'll be some that you'll do that, I'll have the assignment or the details posted on Canvas like this, and you'll just open up Word or Excel or PowerPoint and make a new item and just follow the directions that are on that screen. So it'll vary. There'll be kind of a mixture of things that you get to do. It's not all going to be one type of assignment. Now, the way that generally works, we will have probably 2 to 3 weeks for each section initially. Word will have pretty much several weeks. Six or so weeks, I think, to cover Word, since that's going to be what your little certification is going to be over at the end. So we'll cover that. We'll have a test. and then we'll go to the next section. We'll cover that, and then we'll have a test, and we'll go to the next section. And we'll kind of continue that, I guess you can say, mode for the entirety of the course. Now, how things work, I will give assignments. Let's say if it's a Monday course or if it's online, it doesn't matter, it's still the same. I'll post some assignments and you'll work on them. If you're physically in class, then you physically work on them. If you have a problem, you raise your hand. I come over there and answer whatever questions you have and get you back on track. If you don't have a question, then you just do your work and finish. If you're in a physical class and you finish all the assigned work for the day, then you can leave. Now, if you are in the class and you don't finish the assigned work, then you can't leave. And I'll always have a few people who test that. They'll see 2 or 3 people get up who may be working faster than some of the others, and they'll decide, I'm going to leave too. If you walk out the door, like in a physical class, and there's still 15, 20 minutes of class left, and you haven't done stuff, turned in everything you need to turn in, then you're absent. If you aren't going to do the work and you're going to leave early, you might as well not come at all. So just keep that in mind. If you're online, of course, things get posted in my classes on Monday, and then you have till Sunday to do it. But of course, do not wait until Sunday night, like at 10, to try to do 3 or 4 hours worth of work, because usually that won't work out for you. People who do that generally end up spiraling out pretty quickly. In physical classes, a similar situation can evolve where someone doesn't do much work or they miss a day or two. All the assignments I give you aren't going to be due that day. Like, you don't have to have them due by like the end of class. If you don't finish it, that's okay. Finish it at home. Finish it next class, depending on what we're working on. All the assignments for that section will be due when we have the test for that section. Once we have the test for that section, if you don't turn it in, it's a 0. So you've got up until test day, basically, or test weekend, I guess you can say, to get things turned in. Because then we're moving on to the next section. And I don't want people working on the previous section when we're doing the next thing. Because, again, that will just spiral you into basically failing. Now, that's essentially how the course runs. You'll have your assignments. We'll do a couple weeks, then we'll have our test. Then we'll move on to the next section. We'll keep doing that. Word will be a little different in that it's going to actually comprise of a couple of weeks. We will still have some like quizzes and stuff in between there, but for the most part, the final exam will be over those 6 or so chapters. All right. The textbook, well, it is included in the course. You've already paid for it if you're looking at this video and looking at Canvas in particular. So you don't have to worry about that. It's included in the course. You can click through it. I'll have some more videos on how that works too. But usually I'll have direct links to the chapter in the modules as you go through the class. Now, as far as assignments on what type of computer you need a PC or a Mac, preferably a PC, but a Mac will work for some things. It depends. Now, a Chromebook, I'm going to tell you this now especially, will not work. It's not a laptop. It's basically an internet tablet. You cannot install Microsoft Office on it. There is a web version of Office that works through like your browser, but that is not the same as the actual version. When you're doing assignments in this class, you have to have the full version. You can't just use the web version. The web version literally has like 3 menus out of like the 12 or something that's in the full version. You will not be able to complete this course on a Chromebook. So if you only have a Chromebook, either find an alternative. Our library actually can give out laptops for the semester if you get there early enough, or find another computer to use. Or if you absolutely can't, you only have a Chromebook, drop the class and wait another semester when you have something more available, because you will not complete this course with a Chromebook. Okay, so moving on down. Grade scale. Effectively, it's your normal grade scale. 90 and up is an A, 89 to 80 is a B, 70, 79 C, and so forth. And you'll see those for all your assignments. In fact, you can go to grades at any time and pretty much see what your overall grade for the course is. I'm still toying with percentages and all that stuff, but the percentages are essentially 50% of the coursework comes from those everyday assignments you do. 20-ish percent or so will come from the test, and 30% will be the final exam. Or I think maybe it's 30-20, one of those ways. But most of the work will come from those daily assignments. Now, plagiarism and cheating, short answer is don't do it. It's actually very difficult to do, actually, and not get caught. Also, it will just shoot yourself in the foot if you do it in the first place. The big reason for that is, one, almost all the tests and assignments are application-based, meaning you have to physically go into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and do stuff. If you just took someone else's file, you didn't do that stuff. You're going to have a hard time doing it on the actual test if you can't actually do it and you didn't do it before. All those daily assignments are practice for the test. So if you do the work like you're supposed to, the tests are easy because you're just doing the same thing you did in the assignments. If you cheat on the assignments, well, obviously, it's going to make that test infinitely more difficult. Also, SimNet itself won't let you turn in someone else's work. They actually have all sorts of features in there to see if you copied somebody's file over or copied their data over. There's a whole bunch of little mechanisms in there, so just don't do it. It's not worth it. If you get caught cheating, you get zeros for everything you cheated on the first time. If it happens again, well, then essentially I have to actually report it, and essentially you could get kicked out of class. So I never made it that far before, and hopefully as years down the line, if this video is still around, still will never make it that far. Attendance policy listed here. If you're in a full term, it's 16 weeks, and you get, depending on how many times you meet on campus, this many absences. So you'll see that's how many absences you're allowed. So if we meet 3 times, you're allowed 7 absences. Now, in Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday classes, as of right now, we're technically meeting 2 times, but there is a third absence that you'll see on there, and you may see it on your schedule, that says internet or something like that for Friday or whatever. There isn't actually a Friday meeting. It's just essentially just considered an online day. And the way I treat it in my class for physical classes is, well, as long as you turn something in that week, I will give you attendance for that week. So you have 2 physical meetings, either Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then you just have to turn something in that we did one of those meetings, and you'll get that Friday attendance counted. If you're online, then we have essentially 1 meeting per week, and how attendance is done online is, I guess that would be here, rather. There we go. Effectively, I give my work out on Monday morning, and it's due Sunday night, midnight. So after midnight, I'll check, and if you did not turn something in, then you're absent. And you're allowed 2 for an online class. Once you hit 3, you're not in the class anymore. And the same is true for physical classes. Once you hit 8, you're not in the class anymore. You're cut out. Now, I generally won't cut people out immediately. I'll usually message them or talk with them to see, what's going on. Worst case, you might have to withdraw. I sometimes can work with people, but if you just disappear and you've got 3, 4 absences here or 10 absences here, then you're just not in the class. You get cut out. Now, depending on when you get cut out, you could just be automatically withdrawn, or you might even receive an F if it's later in the semester. So just keep that in mind. The more you miss, the more likely that your grade is going to kind of dive down in this class. Now, additional policies, statement of authority and all that stuff. If people disrupt or cause problems in class, they can be kicked out. I've never had to do that, fortunately. So hopefully that continues to be the case. ADA statements. If any of you have any disabilities or anything, you can contact our disability department. Fill out the paperwork for that, and there are extra perks, like if you're in a physical class, you can, be closer, although that's usually something you can just ask for anyway. Extra time on tests. You can take tests separately from everybody else with the ADA department. There's several different caveats and things you can do. So, safety statement. Well, if you're physically with me, then this is important because effectively determines what happens if there's any kind of emergency. Of course, if you're online, well, you're probably at your house or something. Hopefully, there aren't any emergencies while you're working there. Hopefully, you know what to do in case of tornado and hurricane and earthquake or whatever. But at school, I will say if you're in the school building, really at the DeSoto Center anyway, room 120 is the best room to be in for most emergencies because the tornado shelter is right across the hall. There's an exit right outside the door. In almost all emergencies, it would be the best place to be. But if there's an earthquake or something, we hunker down and hide, and hopefully the building doesn't collapse around us. It probably would. I mean, most stuff in the South is not made to survive earthquakes. If there's a fire, well, there would be an alarm of some sort. And it's right outside actually 120, which is where I usually am, or 214. Those 341, I think, is the other room I'm usually in. But it's in the hallway, you'll hear it. And of course, we exit to the nearest exit, wherever that happens to be. If there's fire in that direction, we'll go in the other direction. Hopefully that we never actually caught fire or had any major issues, so we should be okay, I think. If there is of course, a tornado shelter, which is across from 120 in the DeSoto Center where I teach. Essentially, we just go in there, and it's a big concrete bunker, and we just hunker down until everything's over. We actually have had to go in there a couple of times. And of course, if there's a shooting or something like that, well, depending on where you are, of course, all campuses have officers. The DeSoto Center where I teach is like one building, and as of this video, soon to be two buildings. But we actually have officers in the lobby. Actual police officers, and not security guards. They're South Haven, Olive Branch PD. With weaponry and handcuffs. So if anything did happen, they can be from one side of the building to the other within a minute. I mean, so depending on, and we haven't had any major issues because we do have security features like what doors you're allowed to come in and out of and stuff like that. So that is the rough gist of everything in the syllabus. Ta-da. I'll just bring open my, there we go, outline here real quick, and just point out a couple of things. I haven't really changed it too much from the previous thing. So again, we're going to be covering what you see here. Outlook a little bit briefly at the beginning, just how it basically works. But for the most part, our first actual area we work in is going to be PowerPoint. Pretty easy. Access actually is a little bit more difficult because it's just something people never really work in. It's a database software. Excel, oh, and I should also point this out, Access, since I'm here. Microsoft Office is free for you to install, and it'll install on a PC or a Mac. Access, however, is not on a Mac. Like all the other applications are, they are a little bit different in that some things are not in the same place. But Access just is not available on a Mac at all. So we're only going to have like 1 week where we're going to be doing some stuff in that. So it shouldn't be too big of a deal for most people. But just so you know ahead of time that Mac doesn't have that version of it. It does have everything else. Now, Excel we'll cover in a couple of weeks in there, and it's actually one of the more useful applications. And if you want to do more in Excel and even get a certification, you can go to Applications 2, where you can do that actually. And Excel certification, actually, if you were doing Office anything work-wise, is actually fairly well regarded. And of course, Word will be the end of what we're covering, and we'll cover that for a couple of weeks to get us ready for the final exam for that. Now, again, I am Scott Mounger. This is my office is room 120. My number, well, well, the extension is 6129 if you want to call Northwest. You can get to me from there. However, the easiest way to get in touch with me is either through Canvas inbox, which you can see over here, or emailing me. Either way, I should get it pretty much immediately, and then I should respond back to you. If you call my office number, well, I am literally in my office only during office hours. I teach usually 10 classes, which means that I would be probably in class 4 or 5 hours a day. So the other 2 or 3, I might be in my office. So if you, for example, leave me a message Friday afternoon or something, I may not be in my office. I may be done for the day. And then I won't see it again until probably Monday afternoon. So if you want to get in touch with me, email or Canvas in particular is probably the easiest way to go. Again, kind of the rough outline of the percentages for the assignments and everything. And again, we're going to conclude with an actual certification test. Now, as of this video, I haven't actually given it completely yet. There's going to be some pre-setup stuff we're going to have to do, like setting up accounts and things like that, and all the people who are going to take it. But that'll happen within the first maybe few weeks of class. We'll get all that stuff situated and set up. And of course, anything else that comes up throughout the semester we'll deal with as it comes. Makeup test policy, I should mention this. For online people, there really isn't necessarily a policy for that. I mean, depending on the circumstances, I could work with you, but generally speaking, whether you're in person or online, if you don't come test day and take the test, then it's a 0. Now, I do allow the final exam to count twice and replace your lowest test grade. So let's say you bombed the first test for whatever reason, got a 40 on it or something, but you got a 90 on the final exam. Well, then I would put a 90 in place of that 40 as well. So you'd have a 90 and you'd have a 90 for the other one as well. Now, the usual question I get here next is, well, what happens if I do badly on the final exam? Well, if you do badly on the final exam, I believe we've got a couple of things in place. Like for the certification test, there's actually going to be an option to take it a little earlier, I believe, as of this video. As of this video, it's the first time I'm actually teaching this course, so I don't completely have everything down pat yet. But there's another test you can take actually through SimNet that can count as your final exam as well. So if you don't pass the certification test, you could take that test as an alternative. So there is an option to do that. But generally, worst case scenario, the final exam will count once. And so it won't count multiple times. So it won't hurt you quite as badly. But there are a couple of little options, and we'll talk about those as we go throughout the term. So there you go. There's your overview and outline of the standard course syllabus for computer applications. If you have any questions or issues or anything like that, just let me know, and I'll do my best to answer you.